Hello everybody, this is Solar Tiger with another solar power video. Today is Friday the 4th of August 2023 and this is a video about a new battery that I bought. Now, as you've seen before, this is my solar power system. Outside on top of the shed are the three 100-watt solar panels. They're wired in series to feed my MPPT solar charge controller that's inside here. We have the Victron Energy Smart Solar MPPT 100/20, so 20 amp MPPT solar charge controller, and today I'm going to show you a change to my battery system. So this is the battery box that you've seen before, and before there were three of these AGM sealed lead acid batteries. I had three batteries for a combined battery capacity of 300 amp hours, and I have now gone over to lithium batteries. I wanted to change my batteries for lithium iron phosphate batteries, also called LiFePO4, and they're a type of lithium battery, and this is what this video is going to be about. Now, I had the three lead acid batteries, and if I bring you down to the label, you can see it's dated January of 2014. I always put a date on my batteries so I know when I bought them. So that would make these batteries 9 years old. Now, AGM batteries are supposed to have a life of about 5 years, depending on how much you use them. Now, obviously in my home system here, it's more of a hobby system, and I only power sort of light loads with it, so these batteries are not drained heavily, and that's why I've had 9 years out of them. And to be fair, they are still working okay for what I use them for. Now, if you use your batteries in an RV or motorhome, or you're in an actual off-grid house where you use your batteries a lot more heavily, then maybe 3 to 5 years is what you get out of them, and then you'd have to be replacing them. And lead acid batteries do have some disadvantages. So if I go to one disadvantage, that if I try to lift this up, it's very heavy. These particular batteries weigh about 30 kilos each because they contain lead, and lead is very, very heavy. With the lithium battery, this one weighs about 11 kilograms, and I can lift this very easily. So that would be an advantage if you had it in your RV or motorhome, because there'd be less weight, and weight is a consideration in your RV or caravan. You want to have less weight in it, so that's that. Also, with lead acid batteries, now the label says it has 100 amp hours of capacity, but if you want to make your batteries last any length of time, you can in fact only use about 50% of the capacity. In other words, you can only drain it down to about 50% and recharge it and have your battery last a good length of time. So effectively, this is a 50 amp hour battery. If you actually want 100 amp hours, you need two of them. So that's an advantage with lithium batteries. This is a 100 amp hour battery, and you can actually drain 100 amp hours out of it and recharge it, and it will still last a reasonable amount of time. But there's always a but with things. The less that you drain the battery, the longer it will last in the long term. So even with lithium batteries, you probably won't want to drain it to less than 20% to get the maximum amount of life out of it. So in effect, this is a 80 amp hour battery for the long term. Also, when you charge the batteries, they need a different charging sort of cycle and voltage. So with the lead acid battery, and it depends on the type of lead acid battery, whether it is gel or sealed or AGM. AGM batteries can be charged up to between 14.4 and 15 volts if you're using them regularly, and it says here that the charging current mustn't exceed 30 amps for this 100 amp hour battery. Now for this lithium battery, you can charge it up to, the instructions sheet said up to 14.6 volts, but if you charge it up to between 14.2 and 14.4 volts, you would extend the life of it, and the maximum charge rate for this 100 amp hour battery, according to the label, is 100 amps, but we'll come back to that later. So size wise, they're the same size, the same dimensions, except it's only, the weight is only about 10 or 11 kilograms. The bolts are M8, but the bolt heads are some odd size, because the bolt heads on here are 10 millimeters on this battery. On one of the other batteries, the bolt head was 13 millimeters, but these are still M8 threads, so the lugs that you use are 8 mil. So that's that. Warranty wise, the instruction sheet said 8 years, so that's that. Right, I bought the battery from Amazon. It was the cheapest 100 amp hour LiFo 4 battery that was listed on Amazon, and at the time of buying it, which was a week ago today, it was 249 UK pounds. Now, I had an Amazon gift card, which means I only paid just over £100, so I paid just over £100 for this battery. I will show you the Amazon listing. Okay, so this is the Amazon listing. The price varies between £239 and £249. I've seen two different prices even on the same day. So here is the listing. It says 12 volt 100 amp hour LiFi PO4 battery, emergency backup rechargeable lithium iron phosphate battery with over 5,000 plus deep cycles and BMS protection. Lithium battery is perfect for RV, boat, marine, solar system. Well, we're obviously using it for solar storage. This one is branded TSNA, a brand I've never heard of, and I tried googling and it didn't come up with anything. So, key thing in the middle of the screen here, it says brand generic, very generic. I will comment also on it later. So the battery does have a handle, so you can carry it. It has a BMS, well, all lithium batteries have a BMS. It has overcharge protection, over discharge protection, high and low temperature protection. It balances the cells as over current protection and short circuit protection. The thing about this BMS is it does not have Bluetooth, so there is no way to actually monitor the cell voltages. More expensive batteries do have a Bluetooth BMS, and you can monitor the cell voltages and you can change the settings. But as this is a cheap battery, you do not have these functions. So basically, you leave the thing to get on with the job of protecting your battery. Okay, so it has this here. This battery can be connected different ways. So you can connect up to 4 batteries in parallel for a maximum capacity of 400 amp hours. Or you can connect 4 batteries in series to give a maximum voltage of 51.2 volts, which would be for a 48 volt system. The batteries must have an equal terminal voltage when you connect them, and it recommends that they were purchased within 6 months. You cannot connect the batteries in series and parallel, as far as I'm aware, and some batteries cannot be paralleled and some cannot be seriesed. So you need to check these things if you need this in your system. So I'm running a 12 volt system, and I may add batteries in parallel in the future, but you have to buy the same brand and you have to buy them within a 6-month window. I'll come to the temperature thing later. There's some dimensions of the product, but I believe they are standard size for 100 amp hour batteries. They can fit in the same place that a 100 amp hour AGM battery went. So what I mean is that battery is the same physical size as this battery, but it would always pay to check the dimensions before buying. So that's that. Let's scroll down here. Some of the features: enjoy 10 times the lifespan of lead acid batteries, as I said before. AGM batteries can last up to about 5 years, and lithium batteries can go up to 10 years plus, depending on how you use them. They weigh 70% less than lead acid batteries, so in my case 10 to 11 kilograms for the lithium battery as against 30 kilograms for the lead acid AGM battery. LiFePO 4 batteries have to have a BMS. It's how they work. It offers the protections of overcharge, over discharge, overcurrent, short circuit, and high temperature cutoff. Although it claims to have a low temperature cutoff. I mean, because the battery doesn't have a Bluetooth BMS, I cannot confirm these things. So if your battery has a Bluetooth BMS, you can connect to it and you can check the settings and change them, whereas with this so-called type of dumb battery you can't, so you take their word for it. I mean, lithium batteries vary greatly in price, and I didn't have a lot of money, so I had to go with the cheapest battery I could find. So you can connect 4 in series and up to 4 in parallel, but not together as far as I know. The battery is guaranteed for 8 years according to the seller. So they said that if the capacity was 80% or less within 8 years, you could have a refund or a replacement, but that's what that says. So as I said, this is kind of generic. This is the battery that I bought. This is another battery. If you look carefully, the format of the text is identical, and it's also the same price. So I think they come from a factory in China and they just stick different labels on them. So, and they are basically the same battery. If I go back up here, you can see here that here's a 100 amp hour battery with a Bluetooth BMS, and it's £548. Here's another one that's £319. Another one here for £400. You can see that lithium batteries are quite expensive, and that's another disadvantage over AGM batteries. No, one disadvantage. AGM batteries are relatively cheap. This one cost I think £125 for a sealed lead acid AGM battery, 100 amp hours. So that was £125, I believe, 9 years ago. And this lithium battery was £249 a week ago. As I said, the price varies between £239 and £249. So this is the cheapest LiFePO 4 battery that I could find on Amazon UK. I don't normally buy stuff from Amazon because it's too expensive and I can never normally find what I want. I only bought this from Amazon because I had a £136 gift card that I put towards it, and that made it cost me just over £100. So it came in this box. It was well packed in this box with this thick sheet on the top, and I got it within a week, so I'm happy with that. So when it comes to charging LiFePO 4 batteries, you can use a mains charger. Now, I was using this battery charger for my lead acid batteries. You cannot use these to charge LiFePO 4 batteries because they don't offer the right charging cycle and they can damage your batteries. So to charge LiFePO 4 batteries, you will need a LiFePO 4 charger. This one is actually for a different LiFePO 4 battery, but the key thing on your charger, it must say for LiFo 4 battery, the voltage must be 14.4 volts or thereabouts, and this one can put out 4 amps. And it says here, for use with 4S LiFo 4 battery pack only. Now for a 12 volt battery, this is a 4S battery. It has 4 cells in series to produce the 12.8 volts. So as you can see also, the LiFo 4 batteries have a higher terminal voltage, 12.8 volts, as against AGM batteries that have a lower terminal voltage. So that's that. Obviously, to charge a 100 amp hour battery, you probably want a charger with more than 4 amps of output. As I said, that this charger was actually for this LiFo 4 battery, which is 22 amp hours. So a 4 amp hour charger is fine. But for a battery of this size, you probably want a minimum of, say, 10 amps maybe more. Depends how fast you want to charge your battery. Bearing in mind I said that the label said the maximum charge current was 100 amps, but we'll look into that now. So the battery came with a user manual in inverted commas. If you buy other batteries, you actually get a manual, as in a booklet. I got one sheet of paper with mine, and there's a few quirks to this. So this is a LiFo 4 12.8 volt 100 amp hour battery. The stuff I've written up here, I've taken off the label on the front of the battery, because some things don't agree 100% with what's on this sheet. So the battery has a storage capacity of 1280 watt hours. That's the capacity of it, and that's if you drained it completely. Right, on the front of the battery there's some charging information, and it says you can charge 100 amps maximum, and the discharge says standard discharge 20 amps and surge of 200 amps. Now if I come to this sheet, we go through some things on this sheet. It says capacity is 100 amp hours, minimum capacity is 100 amp hours, and it says the charging is 1C, so C being 100 amps. The nominal voltage is 12.8 volts. Charge voltage is up to 14.6 volts, and it says that if the voltage exceeds 15 volts, the BMS will disconnect the battery. So the charging voltage for LiFo 4 batteries, I researched online, and if you charge up to 14.6 volts, then your battery will last X amount of time. People have said that if you use a lower voltage of between 14.2 and 14.4 volts, your battery will last a lot longer, and I want the battery to last as long as possible, and so if you use a lower charge voltage, it will last longer in the long term. So like an economics thing there, the less you push it to the maximum, the longer it will last. The discharge cut-off voltage is 10 volts, so you can discharge it down to 10 volts. which you can't do with lead acid batteries. If you discharge it to less than 11.5 volts, you basically killed it. So you can discharge a lot lower with lithium batteries. It says here the absolute minimum cutout is 8.8 volts, and then the BMS will cut out again to protect the battery. Now hereabouts is the charging method. Now it says here charging at 0.5 C, constant current, 14.6 volts. So half of 100 is 50 amps. So that's only 50 amps. Whereas the label on the front of the battery says you can charge at 100 amps. So that deviates from what it says on the battery. So the solar power system I got here can only do 20 amps at maximum anyway, so that's not a problem for me. So that's that. The standard discharging method. Now here it says 0.5 C down to 10 volts. So that would be a discharge current of 50 amps, even though the label on the front of the battery says that the standard discharge is 20 amps. So that's different. We got here temperatures. Right, so when it comes to charging the battery, you can charge the battery at temperatures between 0 degrees C and 50 degrees centigrade, and you can discharge the battery at temperatures between -20 and +60. The thing to take away here is you cannot charge lithium batteries at temperatures below 0 degrees centigrade or freezing, because they will get permanently damaged. So whatever charging system you have needs to have a low temperature cutout if your battery will be subjected to freezing temperatures. So that would only apply, say, if I had the battery in the shed, and in the winters in the UK it can go below freezing. We've had it down to -10, -15 before, and that building has no insulation, so if you put it out there, you would need a charging system that cut out at 0 degrees centigrade. I have my batteries inside the house, and it won't go below freezing indoors, not unless something goes really wrong in our house. So indoors, that doesn't really matter. It might matter if you have your battery in a shed or in an RV or a caravan or somewhere like that, then that might need to be a consideration. If your battery is subject to freezing temperatures, maybe lithium iron phosphate batteries are not the best idea. Maybe staying with lead acid batteries might be better for you. Again, if your battery is subject to high temperatures over 60 degrees, it will lessen its life, shorten it, and then that applies to all batteries. Connections, as I said, you can have up to 4 batteries in parallel to increase the amp hours, or you can have up to 4 batteries in series to increase the voltage. So, but you can't have a combination as far as I know. So that's that. Let's turn the sheet over. Some things on the back. What's this? You can only make physical connections to the battery, i.e. using a ring terminal and a bolt. You may not solder any wires or weld wires to the battery terminals, because heat will damage the battery. You should avoid risks of short circuits. The battery does have a BMS, but if you short the terminals out, lithium batteries can pass high currents that can cause overheating, sparks, and lead to fire. So avoid that. Do not take it apart, because you may create short circuits, you could cause explosions, etc. Note how many teardown videos there are on YouTube, where people obviously disregard that advice and tear batteries down. It comes with risks and hazards that are not guaranteed by the manufacturer, so let other people do that and not you. By the way, I have not seen anyone tear down this particular battery. That's that. Do not dispose of in fire. It can explode, but that's just sensible. Do not immerse in water. Well, you're not going to do that under normal conditions. If the battery becomes faulty, then replace it. Do not subject the battery to physical shocks. If your battery is in a stationary location like this, this is not a problem. But if you put the battery in a vehicle, especially if you drive off-road, then that might be something to consider. You might have to put padding around the battery, under it or around it, to protect it from mechanical shocks. So take precautions depending on your particular installation. What else we got? Storage. You should store the battery at around 50% capacity, and then you should recharge it every 3 months. That would apply to people who put them in RVs and caravans, who don't use their vehicle in the winter months. You might park it up in a garage for the winter, so you would need to check on your batteries periodically and recharge them. So that's a consideration. If you're using your batteries all the time, then that's not a problem, where they're charged and discharged every day. The period of warranty, it says here it comes with an 8-year guarantee that only covers responsible usage. If you abuse the battery and don't stick to the recommendations, then it invalidates your warranty. So that's the sum total of the instruction manual. So what I would say here is that I would go with the information that is on the sticker on the front of the battery rather than what's listed here. And the things on the sticker are a bit more conservative, so I would go with that. So again, this is the cheapest battery I could find, and this is probably why you get discrepancies between what's in the printed materials and what's on the battery. So I've had the battery for 2 or 3 days now. It's hooked up to my charging system. Depending on how this goes, I may save up and get another battery to see me through this glum weather that we got now. And as we come to the autumn and the winter, it will be more glum weather and you'll get less charging. So I may put some money by and grab another battery, Also, I will be looking to get a LiFo 4 battery charger, as I obviously can't use this one. The thing I'll say about this one is it's rated at 11 amps, but I've never seen it put 11 amps into my 3 AGM batteries. The best I've seen about 5 amps into it, not more. So I will get a LiFo 4 charger. I'll probably try and get a Victron one, a smart one, that can work with my other smart components. The Victron ones also have selectable charging cycles, profile things. So the Victron ones can charge the lead acid batteries and the LiFo 4 batteries. You can do both. So I'll probably save up or look on eBay for one of those. So maybe 10-20 amp one, something around that, because obviously I need to charge my batteries in the winter, and I have to use a mains charger in the winter. So what are we running at the moment? So if I come to the remote console, and you can see here that we got 53 watts coming from the solar panels, and we're charging the one battery, which is at 13.3 volts, and we're putting 2 amps into the battery, and it says the battery is 75% charged, and my DC loads are 27 watts. So I'm charging things like the iPad, be my phone. I am running a Chromebox, this bottom one, as a crypto miner. So it's about 20 to 30 watts on this. So that's for doing some crypto mining. And I run other things as well. I run some lights, I run fans, I run various different things on my 12 volt system. I have a small inverter, a 300 watt inverter, that I use to charge power tool batteries and some other things. I don't use lots of power from it. This is a 12 volt in-car laptop power supply, and that's running the Chromebox, running this Chromebox. I charge my AA batteries, all different batteries I've got here, rechargeable batteries. I put in all kinds of stuff. I charge them up with solar when the weather's good. I run a 10 watt LED light over my fish tank over there. You can run different things, but this for me is a hobby system. So this is Solar Tiger with a solar power video. This is about the TSNA LiFo 4 12.8 volt 100 amp hour battery from Amazon. I couldn't find much information online other than the listing on Amazon. It comes up with nothing, so I thought I'd do a video on it. I did try searching YouTube, but that turned up nothing as well. So this is Solar Tiger with a solar power video. I will see how this goes in the future, and I'll do an update video. So this is Solar Tiger saying thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye and thank you for watching.